This is KLEKLP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Jonesboro's community radio station. Your life, your music. KLEK 102.5 FM.
Good Wednesday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Mostly sunny skies as high pressure builds in today. You'll be in the mid-80s, northeast winds about 10 miles per hour. Mostly clear, light winds overnight in the mid-60s. We're going to go into a dry spell for Thursday and Friday. Perfect time to get the car washed. You'll be in the mid to upper 80s, mostly sunny Thursday and Friday. And it might stay that way for the weekend. We'll keep you updated. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. EU leaders are holding emergency talks to discuss the situation in Belarus. Soldiers in Mali who removed the president say they'll set up a civilian transitional government with a view to credible elections. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison says Australians are likely to face mandatory coronavirus vaccinations, and UK officials are looking at new ways of testing international arrivals to cut down the length of time some people are required to quarantine.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Wednesday. It's August 19th, 2020. This is Community Conversations. Kira Wonders in the studio with you, and join us via phone is Quabila Jones, host of Community Conversations, and join us in the studio is Thomas Elwood, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro, and looking forward to talking with Tom all throughout this hour. First, got to give the disclaimer, KLEK and the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. We do not endorse, support, or oppose any candidate for office. These interviews are provided for informational purposes only, but we definitely do encourage you to exercise your right to vote. Election day is November 3rd. You can now request your absentee ballot. Go ahead and, if you are concerned about COVID-19, go ahead and request that ballot and go ahead and return it as soon as possible. You know, the mail has been running a little slow lately, so you might just want to go ahead and drop that ballot back off at the clerk's office or get it in the mail early. So as always, we always start off by asking the candidate to just tell a little bit about yourself and your background.
Hey, good morning. I guess you can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I'm Tom Elwood. I'm really no stranger to this mayor's race. I ran in 2016. A lot of things have changed since then. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. So I'm a lifelong resident of Jonesboro. I'm a graduate of Arkansas State University. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in history, and I care about this community. I've been here a long time, and I have a lot of good friends and a lot of sad memories too. You know, they've been through ice storms and tornadoes, and some of my friends have already passed away. So I'm kind of getting to that point in my life where the end is actually closer than the beginning. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
All right, Quabila.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into some of these topics. What is your platform so far? What are the main issues you would like to tackle if you are elected as mayor?
Well, given the times we're living in right now, fear and uncertainty is the biggest obstacle that we're all going to face going forward. So there will not be any bold new initiatives. I mean, it'll be basically baseline budgets for, just see how the future works out. So some of the things I talked about the last time are some things I still want to talk about. There's been a lot of improvements since I first ran for mayor. We actually have sidewalks in North Jonesboro. So that's making it a safer environment for everybody, a more pleasant environment, and just things like that. I mean, everybody wants to do these grand, big projects. We're going to pass this big budget, and we're going to be this big tax increase. But actually, you can only do so much work in a day's time, and I think every day there should be some kind of project to make the city better, be it sidewalks or filling in some of our drainage ditches. That's kind of one of my big pushes will be the green spaces in Jonesboro. We have a lot of area to cover, and green spaces make environment better for everybody. So those are the things that I'll be focusing on if I get to focus on stuff like that. So those are my thoughts.
I'm glad you mentioned the green spaces. I know that, again, it takes time, it takes money to get different projects off the ground. And I am happy for the improvements made concerning the sidewalks. And, of course, there are more things that can be done.
Sure.
However, definitely with the green spaces, we want to push our community to be more healthier, mind, body, and soul. And
Exactly.
whoever the mayor is, we as
I don't talk like that.
Well, I have
I'm
to
just
be
kidding.
informed,
I'm
though.
just kidding.
Hopefully we can get more projects
Sure.
off the ground to help the residents become, again, healthier mind, body, and soul.
Sure. Always. That should always be the goal.
All right, so let's talk about, we know that, it takes money to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had a chance to look into or maybe create a list of how you may go about trying to find those pockets of money to benefit the city and the county?
Well, that's an excellent question to have. We've already got a pretty big budget. I mean, you got a street department. We've got a lot of equipment and inventory. It's kind of a management thing. There's a lot of little projects that you can do. If you go down Johnson Avenue where Patrick meets Johnson, that little short stretch road right there, there's a big ditch right there. And ever so often you'll come by there and there'll be a Yukon or SUV where you just see the tail lights where they ran off in that little short ditch there. And it's only like 20 yards long. That should put a pipe in there and they should fill that in and make that street a little wider right there. And that'll create a walkway and a pathway, a bikeway to connect, kind of connecting north side of town to the rest of the city. There's small projects like that that go a long way. Like I love where they're doing that Veterans Village down there. That's an excellent project, and I'd like to take credit for it, but that's not one of my ideals. But anything that helps the homeless, I think, is good. But you look at that railroad track right along there. I mean, it's a little short stretch of green space right there, and it's mostly rocks and weeds. And man, if you put some canna bulbs in there, or you plant a couple ginkgo trees along that railroad track, you can kind of make a scenic, visual to your eyes when you come by there, even if you're driving by, but especially if you're walking or something like that. These are not big budget ticket items. They're kind of small things, but you'll be surprised the difference that they make in the quality of life and how things actually go. So those are just, that's kind of my expertise, being in the green industry anyway. I kind of understand it, and it wouldn't be a budget buster because I wouldn't necessarily have to hire consultants, and I can actually do some of the work myself. So.
Got some Facebook shout out. Shout out to Linda Elwood Denny, your sister.
Sure.
Jessica McDuffie. Gwen Henderson says, good morning, KLK. Well, good morning, Gwen. Jessica says, good morning, everyone, and great questions. And special shout out to Patty Harvison DeFord, our neighbor in the building. Patty, we miss you. We're definitely glad that you're checking in on our live feed. Patty Cheney Lack is checking in, and Jan Collins Davis. So, Tom, you mentioned about doing all that you could for the homeless. So,
sure.
If you are elected mayor, would you try to put together something to maybe either expand the hub or try to foster some connections with other organizations around town to expand the scope of what either they do or maybe create something that could benefit the homeless? As you know, there's always been difficulties with getting something for the homeless. You remember a couple of years back, there was a building that was going to be donated for a homeless shelter. A group of ministers had established a nonprofit to run it, but there was some pushback, and so those plans were abandoned. So can I touch more on what you would like to do to help the homeless?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's already happening, whether I'm mayor or not. Tony Thomas has stepped up with that Crowley's Ridge Development Council, and that's a great thing when you get quality people like that involved in an issue that concerns all of us. I mean, I could sit right here and tell you I'm never going to be homeless, but I don't know that for a fact. I mean, it happens, and it's a problem. So, yeah, I'd like to expand on what we've already got. And to give Harold Perrin credit, we talked about the homeless when Out of the Dark little group we got together when we spoke about it. Well, I was the first one to speak about it. And he made the promise that within 90 days that he would have something put together. And that's where the hub came from. And I'm extremely grateful for Mayor Perrin for doing that. He was a man of his word, and it has made a difference. So when you create a framework like that, the people that want to help, there's actually a framework where they can come and contribute their ideals and their money and their talents. So yes, I would love to keep that going on.
Kabila?
Okay, just as he was talking, I was also thinking about city council. I know the mayor is not necessarily required to be present, and often doesn't vote unless it's
Sure, yeah.
break a tie. But if you are elected, would you like to be present at more of the city council meetings? I know that you, as the mayor, sits on some of the committees,
Yes.
and has input behind the scenes. But going forward, I would love to see the community members come together more,
Sure,
and really
sure.
support the city council. Like, what are some things that you would like to put in place or do concerning city council if you are elected?
What kind of relationship would you ultimately like to have with the council if you are elected?
Sure, that's a really good question. Well, you have to. There's a lot of talent on the city council. There's a lot of expertise, like accounting and things like that you really need if you're going to put together a budget and run things. Yes, the other councilmen will probably get sick of me after a while because yes, I will be tapping their knowledge and their expertise, and yeah, I'll try to be at every meeting I can be at. So. Yeah, that's. I think the city council, needs to be utilized. So,
Speaking with Tom Elwood, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. If you have a question or comment for Tom, you can post them on our Facebook live feed. If you're listening on the radio, just go on Facebook, type KLEK 102.5 FM, join the discussion, and feel free to ask questions. Now, Tom, you have ran for mayor once before. So, what lessons from your last run as mayor are you taking into this run? What are you going to do different this time?
well, I'm a little more comfortable talking to people, and sometimes you put your ideals out there, and you think, man, it sounds good to me, but does anybody else agree with you? And I've been kind of fortunate. I almost feel like I'm running for re-election for mayor, to tell you the truth. A lot of the ideals that I talked about in 2016 have become a reality. The hub is there. There is a mental health stabilization center that the state created. That's excellent, and we need that. There's sidewalks in North Jonesboro, which I never thought would ever happen. So, I mean, and the drainage ditches got cleaned out. I mean, that was one of my big things. There's no more talk about the Corps of Engineers coming in here. There's no more talk about getting ASU students to figure out how to clean out a drainage ditch. So that affects everybody. There was talk at one time of a stormwater utility tax, and that kind of went by the boards because you got to clean out the ditches. I mean, it's routine maintenance and stuff like that. So I feel like I've had a positive impact in running, and I do learn that we're all people. I mean, we've all got opinions, and some of them are real strong opinions, and some of them are right, some of them are wrong. But in the end of the day, I mean, we kind of all want the same things, and I really believe that.
Okay, and since you did kind of mention taxes in there, what is your stance on taxes? Are you going to do everything you can to try to keep them where you are, or if you think that a proposal such as Team Jonesboro, if it came forward, something that could benefit the citizens, whether it be for police and fire or quality of life or combination, would you try to push for that, or would you just be strictly, no, let's not just mess with taxes at all?
Well, right now, that's a fair question. Well, right now, with this global pandemic and all the uncertainty and fear right now, I wouldn't be in support of any tax increases currently. There's a big question facing the voters about the half-cent sales tax on the state level to continue the 4-lane road project. It was promised to be a 10-year plan and program that was scheduled to sunset. I supported that, and a lot of people did, but I do not support continuing it. I mean, they said 10 years, this is what we want to do. They've had their 10 years. Let's, you start putting stuff in the state constitution. I mean, that's not what the state constitution is set up for. Now, if that half-cent sales tax gets defeated in the fall, which I hope it does, and I will be voting against it, then there may be an opportunity where we could approach the voters with maybe a half-cent sales tax that's devoted mostly to public safety. I listened to all the Team Jonesboro stuff. I was a proponent of it. I voted for it. I wrote a letter to the editor to it, so if somebody wants to see it. So any of my anti-tax friends, and there's a lot of them, I stated some of my reasons and some of my feelings on it, and they really haven't changed. But that's kind of where we're at. Anytime you do these big, bold programs, I mean, it sounds great and all that, but they're really hard to pull off. But the spirit was great. There were some great people on both sides of that issue, but the voters ultimately decided and there was like a trust issue. Everybody I talked to, they said, "Man, we don't really trust this," and they have reasons for that because there's history involved in sales tax
and some of that distrust was with the elected officials.
It was.
But so what happens if you get to sit in the big chair?
Well, there you go. That's the question, but. Yeah, I mean, it's really important who does sit in those chairs, but you kind of need to know how somebody thinks and how they react. As the mayor, if you was to give me a 1-cent sales tax, that's going to double my workload. I mean, there will be fewer excuses. Well, I don't have the money. I can't do this or I can't do that. So when you look at it from a personal standpoint, I'd love to see, and progress is going to happen anyway. I mean, it's going to be out there, but that's kind of where I am. I could sit here and say, well, you can trust me, and trust me, and all that, but it comes down to, trust.
I have one more follow-up question. I'm going to throw it back to Quabila. Have you had any meetings with any of the department heads or any of the council members or just any of the stakeholders in general to just kind of see what they wanted?
No, I have not.
Okay. Quabila?
Thanks, sir. I'm here. I'm just trying to take it all in, and I don't want to keep asking you redundant questions. But,
sure, you can.
Well, we may run off the audience. And of course, if you're watching on our Facebook Live feed, feel free to post your questions. We will ask them, and he will answer them directly on air. Don't be scared, y'all.
I sure will. I'll do the best job I can to give an honest answer.
All right. So, just kind of want to go back a little bit. You talked about taking care of the homeless.
Sure.
And I know there's a veterans village.
Oh, isn't that great? That's great.
Being developed, and so, but Jonesboro has some other issues that often go, I don't want to say overlooked, but maybe not dealt with it. Maybe I'm just unaware. But we have a high number of children that are in foster care, or we have a teen pregnancy rate, and oftentimes those teens, and I know this firsthand because of the industry that I used to work in.
Sure.
Those teens become homeless or misplaced.
Yes.
And so, if you are mayor, what would you try to do? Again, I know it takes money and time.
Sure does.
To help that population, the young people in foster care and the teenagers that are pregnant that have nowhere to go.
Yes, I mean that's heartbreaking. It's social issues are. They're important to all of us, get right down to it. But exactly what you can actually do about it is very limited. I do believe that we need to build a new justice complex. And the city owns some property. I'm pretty sure they still own it on Johnson Avenue. And if you was to build like a modern building there, I'm talking about several floors tall, basements in it and stuff like that, where you can have like a temporary shelter. It would help with the homeless. Anybody going through domestic abuse, which is a terrible, terrible thing. Women get trapped in it, and I guess some men get trapped in it too. But it's just heartbreaking to think that that those things happen in our world. But as an elected official, as a mayor, it would be very limited what I could do. But I promise you, I will pray about it. So,
all right, Quabila?
Yes. Well, will you at least try to, have meetings or come together with organizations and agencies that do provide these services?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
And try to help them find ways to get more funding.
Most definitely. There's probably room in the city's budget where they could kind of make a commitment. Is kind of what I think you're saying. So you don't just do it in a campaign year. You'll actually be serious about trying to make a difference. But absolutely, I'll go through the budget, and I won't be the only one. I'll have people with me that that can read spreadsheets and look at you set up the graphs and see where we're going. But all that fluctuates and changes. But yeah, it's very important that we communicate and be sincere in what we're talking about doing.
Yes, sir. I'm one of those people because of my education.
Sure.
I'm all about.
Well, you got a big heart too. Anybody that knows you knows that.
Well, thank you. I'm all about social services being increased and improved upon for the betterment of the community.
Always. It helps all of us. I mean, you may think it only one certain segment group of people has, but actually it has an effect on all of us. So.
Yes, because when you help when those that are considered,
marginalized, yeah.
Yes, once they get the help they need to rise above their situation,
sure,
it benefits the community as well. Because they become productive citizens.
Sure. Well, they can talk with real world experiences about the problems they face, and that helps other people all the time. I mean, there's a lot of documented evidence on it. It's just not Tom talking, you know.
Yes, sir.
That could be a show, isn't it? Tom talking. Yeah.
We'll have to keep that in mind if you are elected going forward.
Y'all are gonna get sick of me after a while. I can talk. I can talk.
It's all good. Definitely make sure that things flow and things are live. Let's go ahead and check on the Facebook shout, see if we have any new Facebook shouts. We are speaking with Tom Elwood, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. Let's see. Oh, well, Jessica. Well, you got one fan on here. Jessica McDuffie is saying great questions, and she's taking all in. And
thank you.
She said this is such a great Q&A. Well, Jessica, go ahead and ask Tom something. Don't
hold back.
Don't be afraid.
I'm not going to say roll tide or anything like that on it.
Okay, well.
I'm just throwing that out.
You know I'm all about
I'm not going to get in the Cardinal Cub debate either. You know,
well, so. you know I'm all about them Arkansas State Red Wolves.
There you go.
You know,
that's where my heart is anyway.
You got to support the alma mater. But we're going to go ahead and get ready to go into our first break, but don't go anywhere. Back with more with Tom Elwood. This is the Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
How do you build a firm foundation in your marriage? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. In his book, Uncommon Marriage, Tony Dungy writes, so many problems in marriage occur when spouses notice that the intense physical attraction is no longer there and assume that must mean that love is gone. Coach Dungy goes on to share 3 ways to build a strong and lasting foundation in your marriage. First, don't rely on feelings. Love is a choice you must make every day. It's not just something you're supposed to feel. Second, realize it takes 2. If you're constantly feeling unsatisfied emotionally or physically in your marriage, first look at yourself to determine if there are any changes you can make. For more ways on building a firm foundation in your marriage, visit my blog at markmerrill.com. Remember, your family first.
Made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. KNOMEGA1908.com.
Brought to you by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, dedicated to the purpose of achievement. Jonesboro Alumni at gmail.com, Jonesboro AR Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity on Facebook, and Jonesboro_Kappas on Instagram.
KLEK thanks the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Arkansas Early Learning offers child care activities and educational programs to children ages 0 to 5 that gives them a head start in life. Arkansas Early Learning is in the community at no cost. Applications at arearlylearning.org. That's arearlylearning.org or on Facebook at Arkansas Early Learning.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK 102.5 FM is giving you more praise. That's right, KLEK brings to you All Gospel Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, enjoy all of your favorite gospel hits and get your praise on all day long plus the return of the KLEK Praise Break. Lift up your hands, rejoice, and praise Him all day, all Wednesday, every Wednesday on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Tom Elwood, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. And let's go back to our Facebook chat, see if we have any questions or comments. Jessica McDuffie says, I need that building. This is the building I've been praying about for funding to open. It is my passion and vision to bring the center to life, the Hope and Reach Dream Center and mission. And let's see. I think that's about it. And of course, Tom, so my next question is, let's talk about the relationship with Arkansas State University. If you are elected mayor, would you try to have students involved in your administration, which could give them internships and opportunities, and also at the same time give them opportunities for them to stay in Jonesboro to work and to raise their families?
Well, absolutely. I mean, actually, one of the reasons I'm in Jonesboro is that my mother picked out Jonesboro just because of the college and the university. I have a degree, and my sister has 2 degrees from ASU, and my other brother has a degree too from. So yes, ASU has been a big part of my life. I'm in the tree business. I run a tree service, and we actually work for a lot of professors and stuff, and through the years and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, talent is talent, and anytime you can develop talent and nurture talent, I think you should do that. So.
All right, Quabila.
Okay, hi. Jessica made another wonderful comment. She says, let me pull it up. As we know, in this community and across the country, the nations, we have a very big problem many are afraid to tackle. My question is, are you the one who can truly be brave enough to stand, investigate, and fight corruption in the justice system in Jonesboro, Arkansas?
Yeah, that's kind of a long question, but yeah, that kind of goes into the trust issue. Sure, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we can't really have corruption, and that's kind of one of the reasons that the Team Jonesboro proposal failed, is there was a lack of trust, and with the Kate Holiday situation, it seems justified that happened, and it's a shame that it happens. But there is oversight, and there's layers of oversight, but you have to make sure you follow the protocols that the state has already set up. They have a thing called legislative audit where they come in and look at the books, but they don't determine whether you made a good decision or not. They just want to know if you did basic accounting principles. And the first year, nothing shows up because they don't, they give you a couple years to correct it. So it's up to 3 years before any kind of financial irregularities even make the paper or the media. So I think that should be addressed. Corruption is a terrible thing, but we need to make sure that things are fair. I mean, I think fairness is the goal and the key. We're never going to end evil in this world or even corruption and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very important, and it's to nobody's advantage to embrace corruption. As a mayor, I mean, I'd have to stay as far away from it as I possibly could. So yeah, it is an issue, and it's going to be with us for some time, to be honest.
And along those lines, what will you do to build upon the relationship between the city and the county governments?
Well, that's an important question too, because in the past we were talking earlier about parks and stuff. The Northside Ballpark that I grew up playing baseball there, it was actually a county project that Roy Bearden did. I mean, he was involved in the purchase of the property and the development of it. So there are instances where the county and the city should go together because we're the same citizens. I mean, I live in a ward of the city, and I live in a JP district for the county too. And I guess every JP district is basically in the city of Jonesboro. So, and they have a really big budget that they kind of set on, in my opinion. They talk about the road department, and they got an awful lot of money, but I don't see a whole lot of improvements on the county roads either, to be honest with you. There's a highway that kind of runs parallel to Lake City, and it's blacktop, and at one time it was a very nice road, but man, they need to start doing something with that thing and start fixing that road up. And you don't have to go the whole way on the highway. I mean, if you went 200 yards a year fixing the blacktop on that, it would go a long ways to solving that problem. But yeah, you have to talk, but you got to get away from these turf wars. You know what, man? This is my budget. This is this, and this is that. Yeah, cooperation is the key to getting. If you're going to do any big project, it's going to take cooperation.
All right, and Lynette Hirsch says, this specific question isn't about financial trust. It was about corruption within the justice system.
Well, to me, they go together, you know.
All right. Kabila?
Okay. I want to go back again and talk about, the Team Jonesboro initiative.
Sure. I'll talk about Team Jonesboro all day. There were some wonderful people in there, and I met some tremendous ideals and energy, and every opinion is important, and we can't dismiss any ideal. We just have to see what we can actually accomplish. So go ahead. I'm sorry I didn't want to shut you off. But
okay. Well, basically, if the proposal came back, even under a different name,
sure,
and, not necessarily a new group of people, but
sure,
different group of people, how can we address or how can we ensure or try
sure,
to ensure that these projects start to go forward?
That's a very fair question. I think it should have been divided in the first place. The half cent for the police and fire and public safety, I'm pretty sure that would have passed. The great concern and controversy was the other half cent. When you start talking about building water parks and things, I never was a big fan of water parks. You can go back and listen to some of my other tapes. I am a big fan of building a theater downtown, so I'm not completely against, a sales tax increase, but it has to be targeted and it has to be a sunset date for it. And you have to be, it's great to have these big plans, like I say, but they get so out there, and then the history of those projects is like, even on a 10-year plan, when you get to the 8th and 9th year, the energy kind of wanes a little bit and the accountability really goes away. And that kind of stays in the voters' mind. So,
and I think one example of that is that with these shooting complexes,
sure, yeah, exactly,
being built, there's some, they had a big plan for it. They had to scale it back,
sure,
and now that they're working on it, it seems like they may need to do some more stuff to it. And so there's been some people who thinking that could have been money spent elsewhere. So what's your thoughts on that?
That's a perfect example right there of how this works. I supported I didn't really understand the shooting complex. I'm not a gun owner myself. I'm not anti-gun by any means, but I understand it's a big deal and people love it. And the idea was to bring, shooting tournaments in here and stuff like that, which long term I think it will work. But then we run into this pandemic where, it's kind of slowed that whole project down. So that is kind of the problem with big projects. Things happen in the world and you have to adjust to them. I was a little disappointed when they was talking about a bathroom issue out there. I'm going to spend $500,000. Well, you're going to have a bathroom. This is not a surprise to anybody. But
could the surprise be that it costs $500 million?
Well, exactly. Well, there's probably no sewer out there if you want to know the truth about it.
So that may be
probably what's the problem.
Okay.
But if you think about it, the shooting complex, and you can do porta potties. The state park's kind of like, you can make a nice wooden structure and put some porta potties in there. Because long term, if we stay with this virus stuff, you're going to have individual bathrooms anyway, or is a better solution to like even something like this. If you build a big modern bathroom, somebody's going to have to clean it. It's going to be. It's going to be
clean the porta potty too.
Well, I know, but you can rent those out. That's a private enterprise. Mm-hmm. You can rent those out, and then when you rent from a private vendor like that, they pay sales taxes, they pay taxes. Your money comes back to you, and that's actually an economic engine. But if you build a bathroom and you own it, then you own it. There's no. But no, I'm not. I know everybody said, "Man, Elwood's talking about porta potties," but yeah, I think that's a better solution. But I don't really know all the details on what's going on at the shooting range. I've got an opinion like everybody listening and talking, but I haven't sat down and looked at the books and exactly where we're at on that. But I definitely will.
All right, let's go back to the Facebook comments. Jessica McDuffie says, "How do I become a member of Team Jonesboro?" Look up Team Jonesboro on Facebook. Look them up. Send them a message, and they can help you out with that. Lynette Hirsch says, what will be done to address corruption within the justice system specifically? What do you see as weaknesses within the justice system within Jonesboro, and how could they be strengthened?
Okay, well, that's a great question. That's a little bit above the mayor. That's kind of a state-level issue because they actually make the laws. when you get in trouble with law enforcement, you usually vote. It's usually not a city ordinance that you've been charged with. It's a state issue and a state crime. It's very important. That's why these judge races that we had a couple, was it a year or so ago when we did people, who you have in the judges is very, very important. Who you have in the state legislature representing you is very important.
And of course,
too.
we will have interviews with the state representative candidates,
exactly.
so be sure to check those out.
And I'd like to ask the state legislature, it'd be great if they'd give us our sales tax money back. Now, I'd love to have a half-cent rebate from the sales tax we're already paying to do some of these Team Jonesboro projects. But I'm not in the state legislature, and I don't know of any of them that's brought that issue before them. But I'd love to have a rebate on the sales taxes.
Just, when we have them on, you can tune in and ask them.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's go back on. Oh, so I'd ask you this question off air, so I'm going to ask it on air. Basically, if you are elected mayor, do you foresee any changes in department heads or staffing for the city of Jonesboro?
Well, I addressed this in 2016 when I first ran for mayor. I've never been interested in burning the house down. A lot of these people are on career paths. They've dedicated their life to doing this or that. So, and I'm very sensitive to retirement issues. Whenever a new boss comes in, he's going to make change is not necessarily always good, and you can't really make an informed decision about personnel because if you're new to it. I'm not opposed to making changes or reshuffling or moving people here and there, but that would have to be evaluated. And I wouldn't necessarily even rely on my own opinions. I'll have some people helping me that I'll bounce some ideas off that. But no, I don't foresee any major changes. No.
Kabila?
Yes, I'm taking it all in, listening. And
You do. You listen to every word. You're a challenge.
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm not asking repeat questions, and I'm thinking about, as a citizen, what's important to the citizens of Jonesboro, and then where do the duties of the mayor fall into meeting those needs? Are there things that we haven't covered that you would like to discuss? I know you have talked about flooding, and it seems like we haven't had a whole lot of rain.
Well, we've actually had rain, but it's
not as much as, I don't know.
Well, you don't notice it as much because when the drainage system works, it's like, hey, you don't even know it's there, and that's kind of some of my thoughts on that. So, yeah, we've had some heavy rains.
Okay, let's talk about economic development. When I just thought about, the mall is still closed, and I don't know if the stores are under construction, but what about the economic development of our city? What influence does the mayor have on that?
Well, actually, he can stop a lot of development, but he can't really make development happen. Development has to be from demand. The people have to want it. There has to be a profit incentive where people can actually make money off doing things. We've got two really big developments going on in Jonesboro right now. The one on Hilltop, which, man, I hope it succeeds. That's going to be a major plus. And then we got the one off the bypass over off Southwest Drive. I'm not exactly what is the name of that? Do you know?
Southern Hills.
Southern Hills, yeah.
I know. Yeah. That's where the mall was going to originally be, and Turtle Creek beat them to it, and so that land's been sold. And I know they've had some hearings before the council to get approvals for some stuff.
Well, I see they're moving dirt out there, but that's a big project, and I hope and pray that it succeeds because that's opportunities for people. And it's actually in an excellent location, and it's up there high. You can see that's where the mall should have went originally, to tell you the truth. So.
All right, and since we're talking about development, of course, something that I also asked you off air, and of course we asked you this last time you ran for mayor. What is your plan for developing and building up more of the north side of Jonesboro?
Oh, that's I love the North Jonesboro. I've lived there all my life on the north side, and it's very important to me. And I love Dr. Coleman too. I didn't necessarily run against him in my last city council race, and we got to be pretty good friends, and we get to talk every now and then. And he's always been an advocate for those sidewalks, and I'm so proud that they're actually getting built, and he did have something to do with that. So, and it just improves the whole area. So, yeah, actually, we need to build that road that connects North Church and Patrick down there by the old Northside Ballpark. And when we do that, when we built the roads and the sidewalks, and the police can come in there, and we can, people will feel more safe and more secure, and the property values will go up. Now, I don't want property values to necessarily skyrocket. I like the people that's already living there to still be able to live there. But yes, North Jonesboro is a benefit to all of us. I mean, there's so much opportunity out there. So.
All right. Linda Johnson Frazier says, good morning, KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning, Linda. And Debbie Wade says, what are you going to do to bring in industries for jobs and expansion?
Well, I mean, I think the mayor's role and all that kind of gets overblown. I mean, we do have a Chamber of Commerce, and that's kind of their goal. And the city does, pump a lot of money into that. But I think the mayor, they always like to take credit whenever like a new industry comes in, but to be absolutely 100% honest with you, the mayor really doesn't have a whole lot to do with that.
All right, Kabila.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned about property values and keeping the areas affordable for the people who already live there. That was one of my.
That's what I actually stole your idea. So if you want to know, you actually brought that issue up, and it's very important. And thank you for that.
Yes, of course we want to see improvement.
Yes.
In these different areas. However, what people don't want to talk about is gentrification.
Yeah, you actually had a big name for that. I never heard that word until you brought that up. So you educated me on that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I do listen. I mean, I try to take credit for everybody's out, but I know there's good ideals circulating around out there, and we do need to think about what we do and why we do it.
What I would like to see is, of course, improvements. However, the community working together with the city government
to
express what they need versus the city telling the people, well, this is what we're going to do for you.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good approach to anything.
Yeah, so hopefully, you or whoever is mayor.
I don't talk like that. We are doing all of that. No, I'm just kidding.
We can foster those conversations and relationships.
Sure.
We always ask city council candidates if they are willing to host town halls and things like that. I know right now we're safe that we're in with the virus.
Yes,
we don't know what's what. Big groups are not, happening. But if you are elected mayor, what are some things that you would try to do to increase the relationship between the community members on the east, not just the north side, any side of town?
Well, I like the idea of having ward-only meetings to people that actually that live in the ward. That would solve a lot of your rezoning issues about big apartment complexes, drainage issues. Anything would come up in that ward meeting. Years ago, the city council members were elected by ward only. They weren't elected city. It's something I talked about when I ran for city council too. And I kind of challenged everybody that was running there. I got the best interest of the city, whole city world, I'm thinking, well, no, you really need to focus your attentions on your ward because that's the people you're elected to represent. You can only have one mayor is what I'm trying to say. Everybody can't be an ambassador for the whole thing. But
so you're in favor of ward-based?
I am. And there's a hybrid concept now to have one position go citywide and one go. To me, there would be some legal issues with that because I think ward-only voting is the answer, and I think it'd solve an awful lot of the problems. I think it'd restore the trust. I mean, if you could, if your city councilman had to listen to you, he's going to determine whether you get reelected or not. Some of the same money that sponsors mayor's candidates or city council, it's the same people, and that's why you have unanimous votes on just about every issue. So,
Jessica McDuffie says, speaking of jobs, how will he work with Future for Felons in the workforce in the communities?
Future what?
Future for Felons. Future for Felons is a nonprofit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Nonprofit that helps felons get back on their feet.
Yeah,
try to remove some of those barriers that they face, when they apply for jobs and you have to check the box. So she's basically asking, what would you do to help felons get back on their feet?
Well, when you pay, you get charged with a crime and they say, well, you got to do this and that. And once you do what they told you to do and you fulfilled all your obligations, I mean, we all fail. I mean, let's be honest. But I mean, we're all going to. It could be. I'm not saying we're all criminals, but we're all. We have issues, and I think as a Christian and as a fair-minded person, that absolutely we have to consider people based on who they are now.
But would you as mayor, would you advocate to put something in place to help them, maybe like encourage the council to pass a resolution or something?
Well, no, I probably wouldn't do. I don't think resolutions I think those are kind of grandstand maneuvers that, man, I did something. I'm for diversity, you know. But then if you don't actually do it, what good is it?
Well, if nothing else, you could use the bully pulpit of the mayor's office. Yes,
well, you could.
I came up with a little something there. But to encourage people to do it, you may not can force their hand, but you can say, hey, I think we should do this. This will be good for the city.
Well, it's kind of like in the NFL when they did the Rooney. I'm mispronouncing. About interviewing head coaches. And Pittsburgh ended up with one of the best head coaches in the NFL. So yeah, there is precedent for that. So.
All right, go ahead and get ready to go into a break as we leave on the sports note. But don't go anywhere. Back with more. This is Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. If you're trying to not only gain freedom from debt, but keep it, here's what it'll take. First, you need a strategy to manage your credit cards. Rule number 1, only use one card. Pay all of the other ones off and lock them away. But keep the accounts open, because closing them could hurt your credit scores. Rule number 2, always pay more than the minimum payment on your outstanding balances. Next, stop creating new debt. Reserve your credit card use for purposes of convenience, such as renting a car or buying airline tickets. Stop using it for small ticket items, things you can easily pay cash for. You should always know 3 things about your debt: how much you have, how much it's costing you in interest and fees, and how you're going to pay it off. Without a plan, it will always cost more than you think and take even longer to get rid of. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Guide Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a nonprofit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and Jonesboro Kappa League @gmail.com.
Starks Auto Plaza and Auto Service, now under one roof. 2829 Redwood Boulevard, serving the Jonesboro community for over 5 years. They offer wholesale pricing to the public on vehicles, financing for everyone, and synthetic blend and full synthetic oil changes with spin-on filter with vehicle inspection included. Starks Auto Plaza, we never say no. 870-203-9980. Details at starksautoplaza.com.
The Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was chartered on June 29, 1975 in Jonesboro, Arkansas. AKA was founded on a mission comprised of 5 basic tenets, which are to cultivate and encourage high scholastic and ethical standards, promote unity and friendship amongst college women, study and help alleviate problems concerning girls and women in order to improve their social stature, maintain a progressive interest in college life, and be of service to all mankind through programs of educational enrichment, health promotion, family strengthening, environmental ownership, and global impact. More information about the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is available at Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversation on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Thomas Elwood, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. So, Tom, basically, is there anything else that we did not cover that you would like to talk about? Any issues that we may not have hit on, or anything that you want to stress to the listeners and viewers?
Well, we went over a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of challenges facing our city and our country as a whole, and we have to come together as people to solve these problems. And I know a lot of times you start talking about your religion and your faith, you get a little bit mocked, about, oh, we got to have an initiative, or we've got to have a law or something. But we have to learn to live with each other and to kind of follow some of the things we've been taught as we grow up, that the golden rule about treating people the way you want to be treated. And there's always going to be issues and things that come up, but the question is, how do we address these issues, and how do we talk about it, and how do we come to decisions? Now, the mayor is a very important position, and I realize that. I'm not downplaying it, but it's not the be-all and the end-all. I mean, Jonesboro is full of leaders. I mean, people talk about, man, I'm going to be a leader of this and a leader of that, but we have a lot of leaders out here in our community, and we need to just listen and talk and try to do our best. I mean, that's the only thing I've ever promised when I was getting involved in running for political office, which is kind of out of character for me, that if you do elect me and you do make me your next mayor of Jonesboro, that I promise you that I will do the very best job that I know how to do. So.
And that's all one can ask for. Kabila?
She's there somewhere.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry, I put myself on mute.
Now, come on, you're still working now.
I want to say I want to thank you for your answers.
Okay.
And I know without actually being in the position, it's hard to say what you actually can accomplish, because you're going to have to work with other department heads.
Sure. Other opinions too, yeah.
Yes, and as we see on any level of government, whether it's local, state, or federal.
Yeah, it gets
not
ugly.
Yes, not everyone is always going to agree and work together in a timely fashion.
No.
And we know that
Yes,
there are things you would try to do
Exactly.
to the best of your ability. So I appreciate your answers today, and thank you for this interview.
Yeah,
and
I always enjoy talking to you. Like I said, I listen to what you have to say, and I'll take credit for your ideas. So you got to watch me. You may need to call me out on some of that. So now wait a minute, Tom. I'm the one that told you that.
I'm going to have to start taking notes and recording everything.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I can't run away from it, because you can look at, well, here's the interview you did in 2016.
We've got some previous footage on you.
Yeah.
But I really hope that, whoever is elected mayor, I know you don't like me to say that.
That's fine.
I hope that we can, as a city, as a community, come together and work together and realize we can get more done together.
Sure.
And realize that when one group of citizens has an increase in their quality of life, it benefits the whole community.
It's like an echo. Yeah, it just spreads, and it's a good thing when it happens. And Jonesboro is a special place. We have a lot of good things going for us, but we do have some challenges that we do need to face and overcome.
And I know one thing we didn't get to, and I hope we don't run out of time, is diversity.
Sure.
And not just diversity in race and ethnicity.
Exactly.
Diversity in gender.
Sure. Well, we got, like I said, my sister's running for city council, and there's other women running for positions. Like I said on my city council race in the Jonesboro Sun, that we need new voices, and I sincerely mean that. And we're getting them, and some of them we like, and some of them we don't like, but you're 100% correct on that.
Okay. Well, I hope that we as a community can work together. This is going out to Jonesboro as a whole.
Sure.
Let's work together. Let's put our talents together and make this a better community.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Tom, if anybody wants to contact you, volunteer to help you campaign, or even donate to you, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, right now I'm it kind of sounds kind of funny, but I'm really just getting my campaign started. I'm sure there'll be a Facebook page. I'm not really interested in raising a whole lot of money, but I may have to raise some. I don't know, but there's some people that's wanted to help me that I never felt comfortable asking somebody to help me in my campaign because I was so unproven. And I think people need to get to know you a little bit and before they invest in you. So when somebody invests their time or their money or their talent with you and your ideals, I take that very seriously.
Yep, absolutely. So, what if they want to just get in touch with you just to ask questions, just to, maybe they may be shy, they want to ask publicly on the radio, but they say, Tom, I want to know how do you feel about this or how you feel about that.
Sure. Well, I'm on Facebook. I mean, I put a lot of my thoughts out there, and I don't have my privacy settings. I let anybody see it, and I don't block people if somebody doesn't like something I say. I don't really have time to do a lot of that, but yeah, you're right. I do need to be more accessible to the public, and I'll figure out some ways to make that possible. I mean, a lot of people have my cell phone number because I am in business. I do tree work too, so I'm not afraid to even give you my cell phone number if somebody actually wanted to text me. Text works better to me than an actual phone call because a lot of times I can't answer the phone. So.
Well, would you like to get a number over there, then?
Sure, why not? Of course, it's 870-275-0085. So.
Give it one more time.
870-275-0085.
I'm putting that into the comments on the live feed. So if you're watching on our Facebook live feed or if you listen on the radio, you can go back and read the comments. And if you have a question for Tom, you can contact him and ask your question. Kabila?
I think I'm all talked out.
What? You talked out?
You're tired of talking to me already.
You know what? I think that's perfect, and we're getting ready to go into our outro. So in the final 2.5 minutes, Tom, make your case. Tell the people why they should vote for you for the mayor of Jonesboro.
Well, I'm a handsome individual. So.
Well, there you go.
No, I'm going to do the best I can. That's all I can do, and all I can say is that people do need to pray about this. I know I get mocked sometimes when I talk about that, but yeah, you need to search your conscience and what you think about things. Don't make decisions just based on who's the flashiest, because I'm not going to be the flashiest. I can tell you that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's about it. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I've learned. I do listen, and I do take credit for a lot of stuff, but I do listen, and I appreciate. I love intellect. I love people that are smart and that can think, and it just really it kind of excites me a little bit,
Well, absolutely, and of course we thank you for stopping by the studio today. All right, we've been talking with Thomas Elwood, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. Of course, KLEK and the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. We do not endorse, support, or oppose any candidate for office. These interviews are provided for informational purposes only. But once again, I cannot stress enough that you need to exercise your right to vote because somebody's going to sit in that chair. We're going to have a new mayor.
Sure.
That's one thing that is guaranteed. We're going to have a new mayor. So make your voice known. Let you be one of those that actually decides who that mayor will be, because the decisions that he or she makes are going to have an effect on you. So I can't stress it enough. Vote, vote, vote. Election day is November 3rd. Early vote, I believe, is going to start a couple weeks before that. I have to get the exact date, but you can request your absentee ballot. You can go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and request it when you get it. Turn it in as soon as possible. The mail has been kind of slowed a bit, so put it in the mail as soon as you fill it out, or just go by the county clerk's office and drop it off so that your vote will be counted. Of course, joining us Friday will be another candidate for Mayor of Jonesboro, Harold Copenhaver. So definitely want you to tune in so that just like with Tom, you can ask Harold questions as well. We're going to have all of the candidates on before it's all said and done, not just for mayor, but for all of the other offices as well, because we want to make sure that you are a informed voter. Final comment from Linda Johnson. She says, this isn't the time to be reserved. Let people know who you are. So, Tom, I think she's telling you, let them know how you really think. All right, Brother Cobb's going to join us at the top of the 10 o'clock hour. This is All Gospel Wednesday, so get your praise on and thank God for all that he's done for you. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Broadcasting from the First